Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's CSL StarCraft Remastered match. Actually, quite a few weeks into the tournaments. I believe this is like week 5 or something like that.
Yeah, round robin week 5, and this is definitely closing in on the end of the first group stage.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. We have a match between, let's see here, Ebola in-game. I don't believe that anymore. I see people not named Ebola in-game right now, but SoSin and Switchblade, both of which have had at least one win under their belt. Switchblade has won 2, and SoSin has won 1. So SoSin not looking so great to get out of this group, I suppose, but Switchblade certainly has a shot.
Yeah, SoSin, of course, for those who are wondering, is representing UCSD, UC San Diego, and Switchblade going to be representing UC Irvine, which is kind of cool because those two schools aren't actually too far away from each other. They're both Southern California schools and should be a pretty fun one. UC Irvine also, I've always thought, whenever I visited people or talked to people from UC Irvine, they actually tended to be pretty good at StarCraft. I don't know what it was, but UC Irvine kids always impressed me, so I'm actually really looking forward to this one.
Awesome. Well, I didn't go to a college that was big enough at all to be involved in this, so it's always interesting to hear that perspective. Chat, let me know if the audio is okay. It should be saved from last time, so should be all good to go, but tell them that we're ready, and then we should get into it. It is a best of 3.
The real lesson here, Zombie Grub, is that anyone, if they just want to go out there and make their collegiate Star League scene available for other people for StarCraft 2 and Brood War and everything else, should go feel free to do it. It's an awesome thing to do.
This doesn't look right. I know it's not popping up on screen quite yet, but trust me, this isn't correct. There you go. Now you can see it.
No, I just want to tell him, no, it's fine. You just try it.
Just do it anyway.
Stop complaining, okay? Just because you got bad spawns doesn't mean that's a reason to just, regame.
That wasn't even, there was a base there. What the heck?
No, there was no mineral patches there. Oh, man. I think we may have hosted up, the wrong version of the map or something.
Yeah, just the, so this does occur frequently, I would even say. If you guys have not played StarCraft Remastered, for some, I'm going to say, dumb reason, Blizzard didn't actually include the ladder maps in a default file location that is easy to find. So if you go to, for instance, ladder maps in your customs, it doesn't actually show you the actual ladder maps. These are, copy and pasted from, I want to say, 15 years of people just downloading off of IC Cup. So it's not great. So we certainly had trouble months ago at this, small LAN I was at, Storm SCR LAN. The same exact problems. The gas geysers wouldn't have gas type thing, and I guess now we have the same problem here. So hopefully our admin didn't just go off and do admin-y things, because
yeah, I'm trying to talk to him and asking him if he can remake it, but if not, I guess one of us can just remake it. Do you know what map it ended up being?
I was gonna ask you that. It looked like Python from the glance that I took. It might actually say, hold on here. Python is map 1, yeah.
Okay. Well, just informing, of course, poor SoSin from UCSD, who's just sitting there being like, what? Or sorry, not SoSin, Switchblade from UCSD, who was just like, I don't understand, what was wrong with it? Everything looked fine to me. This was the correct map and everything. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Well. He was like, dang, that could have been an easy win. But would he have earned it? Would they have earned it? That's the real question.
Absolutely not.
I don't know, some excellent probe micro. You end up defeating your opponent with just your workers. It is technically a shorter rush distance than almost most of the other maps out there if you just spawn in the center.
I feel like he would still be able to get another SCV out though. That's the worst reason to.
But Brood War, that's the cool thing about Brood War is that you can legitimately out micro your opponent.
The probe, it would have been going up against the SCVs, and the SCV was the defender. SCVs are really good in Brood War. They have so much extra health.
Okay. I'm gonna just go ahead and make it because I think that Cheesehead may now be busy.
Okay.
Oh boy. Actually, now I need to find the maps.
I was gonna say, are you sure you can find the maps? I might have already made one of these, so let me check too.
Okay.
Once I hit the right button.
Because I definitely have, because I still have all of my folders of old Icy Cup maps, which is maybe old versions of these maps.
As long as they're workable. You guys are gonna hear me actually go through this. So I have, I think I have the wrong Python actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Let's see. No.
Let me actually make this one and see what happens.
Brood War ladder. Nope, that's not it.
This should. I don't actually know if I trust it or not. You guys are gonna be able to figure this out with us.
Yeah, this is a fun little game. This is harder than Brood War itself. Is finding the map you want to host. Oh. You know, as much as we actually, you know, there is a search function.
Oh, is there though, Fear Dragon? Is there? That thing never works.
Folder.
That thing never works, I'm telling you. I love it. So I filled up all the slots to see if it would spawn in the middle, and it did, and the AI just immediately started attacking each other.
Okay, I'm just gonna host up the Icy Cup Python. That's okay with the players.
That should probably do it.
Okay, well, let's see how this goes. Is it under popular maps? Oh, that's actually a good question. I thought I checked there, but
they aren't like.
I have Python 1.4 under popular maps. Presented by Kespa. This looks promising.
Okay, try it. Name the same thing.
Okay. What is turn rate?
Oh, put it at 12.
Okay.
It should be default.
Okay, it's made. If you want to let them know also that it's made. Okay, hopefully this one will work. Thank you guys all so much for bearing with us through this. As sometimes, you know, old remastered interface takes a little bit of finagling, but it's going to be a pretty awesome series. And PvT I'm always very excited for. It's actually kind of funny. It's a fortuitous day because Day 9 himself, legendary StarCraft commentator and of course former Brood War pro gamer, is actually doing currently a daily on Protoss versus Terran in StarCraft Brood War right now. So I think that's going to be ending pretty soon as well. And people will filter over and say, hey, let's watch a little bit of this in action with some nice collegiate level play.
Cool. It's a pretty big deal, so I've heard.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Both players are in, and our assumption is this is going to work. I do love Terran versus Protoss. It is my favorite matchup, both sides of it. So if I play Protoss, I want to play versus Terran, and Terran, my main, I always want to play versus Protoss. Mechanical units are just really fun in Brood War, and the way that you play it, I think is just really fun. So let me just change the scene. Let's get into it. Make sure everything is good. Looks like it is. In the middle left-ish, kind of. Python has terrible locations. It is the brown well, that's orange, actually. Wait a minute. Oh, I was looking at the wrong camera. Isn't that amazing? In the very bottom, but still kind of leftish position, is the brown Protoss. It is SoSin.
And up over here on the top left-ish corner of the map, we have the orange Terran player. Give it up. Of course. No, wait. You just introduced SoSin. Oh, man. You had me all confused with these colors now.
It's Helix.
Helix in the bottom left-hand side.
Well, because, okay, there's two confusing things, right? One, I spawned over here. Actually, you can't see my box, never mind. Yeah. I spawned in one location, but I saw an orange box first. So I was like, oh, I'm there. And then beyond that, there was the color issue, but we need to pause, which gives me enough time to update the score, which I didn't realize I had to do, but makes sense.
Are we sure that this is the official map? This is the one that was under popular, which is what the players suggested. Which we cannot talk to players. The minerals are not 1500. Okay, well that's definitely not good.
Well, then that's just not, I mean... Oh, hey. Did you try talking to them? Fair Dragon?
No, I didn't try. This is observers.
Okay, well, we're just gonna have to leave and hope they get that message. I don't know how to, actually, to be honest.
I know, I'm so used to tabbing.
Yeah.
Or like shift enter usually was what you used to do, but that doesn't work. Oh boy. What a day.
Just leave. Just leave.
Okay.
Abort mission!
That will get them the message. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to ask one of the players to make it.
Well, I mean, they might have a better time. But they did suggest that you choose from that popular map, so I don't know if it'll be any better.
Okay. Cheesehead is actually back now, but it seems like the players are just going to end up making it instead, which will probably work out substantially better at this point. But either way, guys, we are excited for this PvT, and just to talk a little bit about Protoss versus Terran, if you guys aren't super familiar with the matchup, it's a pretty fun one. And this is actually I think, kind of nice, because you're a Terran player, I'm a Protoss player, so this is like the appropriate matchup for us to watch. And Joe actually plays Zerg, so we actually have a really nice like mix of the races on the caster lineup.
I didn't know he played Zerg and Brood War.
That's what he told me.
Okay.
He says because he always tells me like he knows the Zerg matchups, and then we would like commentate a PvP. I'm like, okay, well, let me explain this to you.
Well, that would be a great ideal balance, but it's not ideal. Is SoSin now doesn't know which one's real, so. I mean, Helix would have the same problem. So I don't know.
Oh boy.
I mean, okay, the easiest thing to do would literally be to go to the Icy Cup and download the maps. From there.
I have the maps from Icy Cup, but those are the Icy Cup maps, not the ones that are used on the ladder.
That shouldn't matter. They should have used the ones from Icy Cup. Nothing has changed in Brood War in the last 20 years. so it's not like the mineral count would be different or anything.
Well, I don't know. Apparently, under the popular maps, that was one of the things that was different.
Yeah, I know, under the popular maps. So that's why you never trust those things, though. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I don't know if this is like an oversight by Blizzard or what, but they didn't fix all of the custom maps. The create tabs, that is, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay. There's just a ton of like gross old ones that don't make any sense in there.
Yeah, that is one of the kind of unfortunate things. It's sort of hard to figure out exactly how to get stuff there. Looks like the game is made, so if you want to hop on in.
This is one that I was gonna make.
Yeah, this is the, well, actually I don't think this is the one I was gonna make. Mine had Icy Cup at the beginning of it, so.
See, I really thought that this is the one that Cheesehead made. We're about to find out.
I know. Someone's gonna spawn in the middle. No, we're actually ready.
Looks
this
good.
Is all working okay. The mineral patches have 1500.
Cool.
Good to go.
Well, that took literally 15 minutes. So now that we're here, we can get into it for real. Now mess up the intros. In the top 1 o'clock position, that's what I'm going to go with. It is the purple Terran Helix.
And over here on the right-hand side of the map, we have the orange Protoss player. Give it up for SoSin, UCSD.
All right, now we'll once again go back to fixing the scores, since there's no...
Yeah, for those who missed out on what we were talking about earlier on also, SoSin is currently sitting 1-3 right now, and actually was one of the players that finished second place in the TESPA tournament a couple months ago, whereas Helix is sitting 2-2, playing from UC Irvine.
See, that's weird that the guy that got second place in TESPA would be doing worse off. Because when I read that, I thought that meant that he would have the better score, but it's actually not the case. So there could have been something to be said about the way the group was made. Maybe he just got a better opponent, and that's why he's 1-3 versus the 2-2. But this is like how we're going to find out. Is here them going against each other. By being 1-3, that has put SoSin in a bit of a difficult position, but I think there's a couple more weeks, so maybe they can bring it back.
I'm already pretty impressed with Helix too, because it's actually listed also that they only really started playing a few, or about when Remastered came out. So Helix has already been doing pretty well, sitting 2-2 in his group and getting an opportunity to potentially make it out.
Yeah. What do we have going on here? So Brood War is actually a really fun game because I feel it is the game that you can tell who actually knows what they're doing from such an early point. In StarCraft 2, they could be gold, maybe even like silver, and you're watching them and you're like, well, they did a build opener correctly up until 5 minutes. But their macro and micro really fall off after that. Brood War, I don't think, is so forgiving. You can immediately tell, like, did they actually miss the supply depot by 1 second? How does their wall look, for instance? Are they getting the right build orders even down? Because, of course, some of these guys are actually super new and don't know really what build order they want to go for. It looks like we have some trouble here.
Yeah, that's also something that's also more apparent in Brood War than StarCraft 2. When someone's lagging, everybody knows about it immediately.
Yeah. This is pretty bad, too, because, well, we got on West. I'm on East, but that really shouldn't be that bad. I figured both of these guys were West, too.
Yeah, they're both in California, UC Irvine and UCSD, both
yeah, I mean, I feel
they should be really close to each other, honestly.
Yeah, I figure that, they're still in school, right, being November, not near Thanksgiving or anything like that, so I don't know why there'd be such severe lag. But that is one unfortunate reality of StarCraft Remastered, and what has been a real downer for a lot of people is just how much lag has affected the game.
I really like, oh my god, I'm loving this probe micro right now from SoSin. Able to use that probe to take a pretty significant health advantage versus one of those SCVs that was just kind of attack moving onto it. So SoSin able to force one of those SCVs very far back. That probe hasn't even lost past its shields in terms of health and has already regenerated most of them, so gonna continue to harass. He's looking for that one lower health SCV.
So Helix did make an almost wall to help out, but the Zealot's already getting in here, has to pull the SCVs. SoSin did open up aggressively with the gateway at the front, which is something that unfortunately SCV just didn't scout very fast at all. So now a last minute emergency reaction is coming down here.
Oh boy, and that Zealot closing the distance on one of those Marines does manage to get the kill on it as well. Probe gets a kill on another Marine, and this is really starting to snowball a little bit.
It is. This is actually really bad. A full wall off would have really helped at this. Alternatively, just having his Marines ready to go on the front lines, but one of them had chased the probe all the way back away from the ramp, so things are looking very hectic. SoSin's getting a lot of early game damage from this, even though it's really not that committed. Really just the placement of the gateway is what's odd about this.
Yeah, I like the mineral walking that we're starting to see from Helix to try and mess with the Zealot and the probe. Make sure that they just want to feel like you can see that Zealot ends up moving around quite a bit more than it really wants to. It just wants to be attacking SCV after SCV, but finally the Vulture is going to come out, which will eventually be able to clean up these Zealots. But like you already said, the damage has been done by this point.
The Vulture is basically a counter tool against the Zealot, especially, speeders no speed versus no speed, actually. But speed versus speed too, their direct counter. It's still obnoxious to have taken that much damage. The build order, probably got messed up for a second there too. Helix desperately puts down a supply depot. I don't think that walls, but I'm not sure. It's Brood War walling. I don't know.
Well, you can always lift up that barracks and acts kind of like a StarCraft 2 supply depot. So the Vulture will be able to make its way out, but we already do see First Dragoon is out, which is going to make it a little bit more annoying for the Vulture to do a nice kind of like sneaky run by. And oh no, the Vulture may end up just falling over here to the first two Protoss units. Yeah,
it is going to die. Running into a Dragoon is already bad enough, but running to the Zealot as well. If the Vulture couldn't get out from this space, then I guess it's it's definitely Dragoon tight, but I don't know about Zealot tight.
We've got a very fast Templar Archives coming out over here for SoSin as well. One gate
Okay,
Templar
works.
Archives, no natural, almost kind of faking it out without Wallen at the bottom if an SCV ever got out to scout, but as the Zealot works away at that Wallen, there's only that one Marine on the other side, but that one Marine is a little bit afraid of that Dragoon.
Yeah, of course. The Dragoon will absolutely take it out. A tank does pop out, however. I don't believe he's gotten any research quite yet. It's just been, desperately trying to deal with everything out here. And without Siege Tank, Siege mode, this is going to be a little bit difficult if the Dragoons could actually ever reach beyond that barracks.
Supply Depot is going to end up falling. The Zealot now maybe had an opportunity to move in. The Command Center is going to act some awkward pathing. The Dragoons are closing the distance, but one of the Dragoons does go down. Zealot giving chase.
That's pretty bad to let the supply depot go down. Repairs probably should have happened. Repairs going onto the tank too late. It's be so hard to repair. One Marine up against the world. Another tank is probably on the way, but it's going to take quite a while.
Oh, trying to go for the surround of these SCVs. That would be huge, as the Dragoons tend to do pretty well versus those Marines, but some nice micro with the SCVs does manage to take it out. But again, it's at what cost? So much damage has been taken. And oh Lord, Zombie Grub, there is no concept, no academy, there's no signs of missile turrets or anything. These DTs may just end the game.
I mean, you're one base DTing and you did all that damage to mess up the build order. Of course, they're not going to have anything to help out here. GG is called. That's going to be it. And SoSin takes game number 1. Very difficult game there for a Terran player to mess up just slightly in so many different situations, definitely a snowball effect, and then to be cheesed out. He never really got a great scout once that SCV had to be brought back, and DTs just, they come so fast. If he had opened with Spider Mines, which, hey, maybe was his intention, but then he had to change his mind, that might have been recoverable, but didn't happen, so he just had a straight up GG.
Yeah, and that does make things pretty rough, as I think I actually like that Hulix even saying like, oh, I think I might have forgotten to GG out. I think he GG'd out, but regardless, nice that they're being a little bit extra mannered even after losing to kind of the one base Protoss. And that's the sort of funny thing about PvT, is that there are these kind of one base all-ins, but I feel like that was almost more of a, I'm going to put some extra bits of pressure on because I feel like I'm getting some damage done, and oh, this is working better than I thought. I wonder if I can just sort of end it at this point. It almost felt more to me like a bit of a reaction than I'm really planning to go ham and go hard on this one base all in.
It's possible, but certainly, and I feel this is really strong for like people who get back into it, right? So the people who are brand new to Brood War, they're not going to know any builds. They might have an idea of how to cheese, but it's not going to be executed very well or very fast. The people who kind of like get back into it, either they already were cheesers, and that's, just, okay, sure, that happens. Or this is like how they get back into it, They're like, what really bothered me when I was playing Brood War years ago? DT rushes. That's the build I'm going to use. That's the build I'm going to get my daughter points with. Because I feel like, there's a lot of people in StarCraft 2 that do it as well. When they get back into StarCraft, it's like, I'm just going to cheese get my ladder points, right?
StarCraft 2.
Yeah, exactly, right? Whereas me, I grind through the macro games, and it takes me like 100 games to get back to where I used to be. But it's hard to say if that was a reaction or really his plan. I want to say it was his plan, just because I faced so many cheesy Protoss on ladder, but we wouldn't know unless we asked him.
That's totally fair. And of course, in Brood War, I think Terrans do have a little bit more trouble compared to StarCraft 2 in dealing with those Dark Templar rushes, just because you don't just sort of automatically have this thing that can throw down the scans and have that detection. You have to kind of deliberately go for it, especially if it's going to be coming out that quickly on one base. You need to have that ComStat station, and of course, getting that ComStat station up takes a little bit of outside investment from your regular PvT opening.
So it's kind of like a yes and a no. You're right about the orbital not being automatic, but in StarCraft 2, you want a mule too, right? So there's still a lot of opportunities when the DT rushes in at the exact right moment, and you're like, well, okay, GG. In Brood War, you don't just have ComSats, which you eventually get, but you wouldn't have had in a one-base rush. You also have Spider Mines, which you actually can get very quickly, depending on what build you get. So the options are there, I think, for Brood War. DTs tilt me less in Brood War, but there was significant lack of scouting because of how much damage is being done. And unfortunately, we do have this lag again. But let's introduce the players. It's Fighting Spirit in the bottom left as the yellow Protoss. He is SoSin.
And in the bottom right, we have the blue Terran player. It's Hulix, sitting down 0-1.
Exactly. Should I do the score? There we go.
And of course, reminder, this is a best of 3, so just need one more game from our Protoss player SoSin to take first series, or I guess the second victory in their group.
Yeah.
Going potentially 2 and 3 then.
So
which would actually tie him up with Helix.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then Helix would be down. Wait a
2
minute.
to 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, you're right. Yeah. So like remind everyone that SoSin is the guy that apparently got second place in a pretty nice tournament. So for me, I came in here thinking he was going to win, but Helix is actually the one with the better score. Perhaps Helix has a weakness to cheese. Perhaps he didn't realize who he was up against, and maybe SoSin's other opponents did. They were warned by someone like, hey, this guy's really cheesy. Because that is, of course, a nice thing is that if you believe your mechanics are actually better than your opponent and you just defend against the cheese, that really shines in Brood War, I feel, more than in StarCraft 2. But we don't actually know what these guys know about each other. They have been playing in the same group for a while, so I'd hope like a little bit, but I don't know. SoSin might just not also be showing us what his macro potential is. He wants to get the games over and done with, and might just be cheesing again, but it doesn't look like it.
It's going to be a Nexus first.
Right. Yeah.
Very macro-oriented follow-up from SoSin after a one-base attack in the last game. And you can see that Helix is playing a little bit more carefully, is going to be going for his barracks, getting up his refinery, getting up that gas, and playing a little bit more standard, but also not really going to be scouting out this Nexus first likely until very late on.
That's unfortunate because last game Helix also had a late scout that did contribute to his problems, multiple problems. Not going to be as bad, again, going for the Nexus first, really changing things up here. Said SoSin might have just wanted to get that first game, out with a bang, or maybe he reacted to how well it was going, as you were talking about. Now going for, like, Supreme Macro, might even see, like, a really fast third, like, very much so what you would expect from TVP in Brood War. We actually have a second gateway already. So applying some pressure, potentially with some fast Dragoon range, can be really difficult for the Terran player to hold off on.
Yeah, for those who don't know, actually, if you get up the Dragoon range as a Protoss player, you can outrange bunkers in this game, and that can be an extremely efficient way to put that pressure on, like you were saying. But I think getting such a late scout out, it makes it a little bit difficult. And of course, the Terran player can get up those siege tanks very quickly as well. Once you get up siege mode and research that, then really does put the pressure on those Dragoons if they try and poke too far forward.
So I'm really interesting opener here. So double Zealots, as of course the semi score was really late. As soon as I said he might go for quick Dragoon range, I realized that he hadn't even taken gas yet. So that's like right out the window.
Oh, yeah.
No cybernetics core down yet either. I don't know if he's messing up his build and trying to recover here, or really he wanted to double pump Zealots. That's pretty dangerous. Zealots are really quite useless early game against these factory units that SoSin will, Helix will ultimately be getting. So to stick on them for too long is a little scary. Once those vultures pop out, once they have a wall down, which, there's a wall down, Zealots, well, they're not as good as their Dragoons early game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like you were saying, the vultures and their micro potential to just maneuver around and out position, out micro the Zealots, which just won't ever catch up with the vultures, is the really big fear over here, that these Zealots are not going to be able to keep up with them. And even if the vultures, they get up a nice fast vulture speed upgrade and they just start darting around, it's actually going to be kind of difficult for SoSin to even keep a hold of all of his probes in the mineral line.
Yeah. I want to be clear, like, he could be doing exactly what he wants to do. I don't know all the Brood War openers. I know a bit about Brood War, but I'm no pro. I'm not Artosis here talking about it. But it does feel very off. Typically, if you want to be good off defensively and have the potential for offense as well, that's where Dragoon range really is the highlight, not double pumped Zealots. Maybe against a Zerg player, sure, but against a Terran player, even if they don't wall off, it can be very difficult to let Zealots do damage, but especially if they wall off, the Zealots are just completely useless.
I wonder if this is actually just going to be a play to try and deny this natural, because if you do think about it, one of the reasons why vultures can really handle Zealots so well is that they can out-micro them, but they also need space to micro them around. And at the natural, there really isn't going to be that much space. These Zealots can close the distance on the Marines, and even these siege tanks are not going to exactly have that much maneuverability, but oh, with the 2 Sea Shanks coming in, this may just be a little bit too much for these Elts to handle.
Yeah, actually, Halleck should not even be scared at all. If SoSin had done some type of like fast speed lot play, then this opener of Halleck's might have been in danger, especially if he continued making tanks. But 2 tanks is usually a pretty safe opener, especially if you build a bunker, and then you can certainly build up your vulture count while basically SCV pools and bunker SimCity can help you out. We do finally have Dragoons. I still don't see Dragoon range though. Up there it starts now. So he's getting to what you would expect a normal TVP to look like. So we have that natural base being fully saturated. Third base is on the way. Their bases are grabbed a lot quicker. Actually, now that we have Legacy of the Void, I would say TVP and Brood War does mimic StarCraft 2 TVP, where Protoss are expanding faster.
Oh, nice snipe up on that spider mine over at the front. And getting any one of those that you can for SoSin is really, really nice because it does delay, I guess, Hullex's ability to kind of push out across the map and really seize a bit of map control. Just because the vultures really want to be out on the map, placing down spider mines, kind of controlling areas in the game. It isn't even just getting some scouting information and some vision, but these Dragoons doing a really nice job kind of denying that. Even got a Dragoon on the south side of the map, which I think is standing in a very interesting spot where it just doesn't have vision of anything.
Yeah, it looks really like a dumb Dragoon, which makes sense. But it doesn't want to stop anything like a cheeky fast third base or even just vultures, more likely trying to run around. He wants to have eyes on the vultures. The vultures in higher numbers can actually just run past and be like, see you later, loser. But as it is, Hallex is doing like a lot of tanks. He finally finished up siege mode. I want to say, like, as someone who's learning Brood War as well, this is actually, it's a safe opener if you can scout too, just like make sure you don't get overwhelmed by, again, like speed loss or something like that. But it's kind of a false safe method of play. Like, tank seems so good until the Protoss player learns the power of speed lots and dragging mines, and then you realize why so many like Brood War games are about a lot of massive vulture action, controlling the map, planting down vulture or spider mines, taking out the front line of speed lots before your tanks are in danger. So I just want to keep an eye on that as the game goes, see if he does underestimate the power of vultures or not.
Yeah, one of the big things about that is it's honestly not even necessarily always about having a mass of tanks. I mean, a mass of tanks is, of course, always nice, but it's about having, like you were saying, not just the vultures and the spider mines there, but just having things in front of your tanks, because tanks will actually die to Dragoons pretty quickly, believe it or not. So we'll see. SoSin going to try and do his best to just force these Sea Shank siege ups and just make this kind of push out as slow as possible. A couple of SCVs also being pulled off from gas over here with this push. That may be a bit of a mistake right now, as nothing's being mined from the natural refinery.
Well, SoSin's trying to like 5-fact here on 2 bases. Oh, he accidentally lifted his command center. Oh, I feel your pain, buddy. Oh, I feel it. Anyway, he's trying to 5-fact with a very powerful maneuver, but I don't know if his macro is good enough, to be honest. SoSin really showing his strengths as a player here, has already macroed up way above supply that is usual. 20 or 30 supply is like okay in TVP, but 40 is not so much. And getting hit upon just like this is not going so well for a Terran player.
Siege tanks not siege up one at a time. They're trying to get into a good spot, but the Zealots have already closed the distance. One by one, they end up falling, and even the spider mine's not getting the hits off that they need. The Dragoon count is just out of this world. Behind this, it's just rallions of individual vultures and individual siege tanks. Even without an observer, this Dragoon count is more than high enough to breach into this natural.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be a quick 2-0. I don't know how SoSin lost his other games, man, because he looks really strong here. GG. And that's that.
Yeah, SoSin, like you said, a very quick 2-0s. We've seen some much longer series, I mean, games that go on for 30, 40 minutes in the CSL in previous weeks. But this week, we end up having, I mean, even with all of the kind of issues we had with hosting the maps and everything, it ends up being only like maybe 20, 30 minutes long.
Yeah, not very long at all. We got the DT rush and then a I mean, it really was a stomp, you know. I don't want to be like too cruel to the guy, but I think it was pretty obvious when you looked at the numbers there and how that was set up, that 2 base was not going to work. It's actually a really great build to learn with the 5-fact 2 base. It's also a bit like cheesy if it's performed really, really well. but that's the key to it. Like, it has to be performed really, really well. And Terran macro is not universally heralded as the hardest, but Terran is kind of viewed as one of the hardest races to come in as a beginner into StarCraft Brood War. So it's really hard to execute those types of builds well enough.
Certainly a lot of challenges, and even just things like the wall off that, you know, are not exactly as straightforward as you would expect. We saw that kind of come into effect a little bit in game number 1. Not just with like the first output, but with the follow-up ones, trying to wall off a little bit of the command center, but not quite getting the full wall off there. Like, all these small little things you need to learn about the game can really affect it. It's not to say necessarily that, you know, Terran player is bad by any means or anything like that. And I'm really hoping that they continue to play and learn, but they are also a new player, and these things definitely just, it's really hard to get around just the fact that you need to put in a lot of time to learn the game. But really, really impressive play regardless, getting into a 2-3 finish for both these players in their group.
Yeah. SoSin just looked really strong in that macro game. You know, again, want to like highlight the good parts as opposed to like picking on the guy that lost. SoSin just like, he actually got the 3 base. Like the opener I was a little like weirded out by, but I think he had a different plan in mind than what I was thinking of. But when he got the 3 bases, he really powered up. It was actually some pretty nice macro from him to overwhelm like that. So I don't know how good the other players are in this group, but for him to be the one that was in 1-3, now bumping him score up a little bit, that's, I don't know, maybe that's a testament to how good the other players are. Maybe it was just something weird that went on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. It's 2-0.
Indeed. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in for the CLSL. It's been a delight, and of course, this does mark the end, for the most part, of the, I guess, the round 5 of the CSL. And round 5 is kind of the final round for the first group stages, so I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be advancing on out of all the groups and everything, and I guess seeing more of how the rest of the Remastered tournament goes.
Yep, always fun to cast some Remastered. Thanks for casting with me, Fear Dragon. Please follow the channel if you haven't already. If you like StarCraft 2 or StarCraft Remastered, StarCraft 2 is on Tuesdays, StarCraft Remastered is on Thursdays. Supporting collegiate esports is always really, really cool. So hit that follow button, and you can follow Twitter as well as Facebook, and then you can join the Discord too by typing Discord, Discord in chat. So that about covers it. Thanks guys for watching. We'll see you Tuesday for StarCraft 2. Bye-bye.